appearance of motion. You want the image to begin with the diver's legs and end with his hands. Move the playhead to the end of the 5_jumping clip at 1429 and select the clip. Using the Move tool, press Shift as you drag the image down in the document window so that the hands are near the top of the canvas, putting the diver in the final position. Click the triangle to the left of the clip title to display the clip's attributes, and click the stopwatch icon for the position attribute to add a keyframe, a yellow diamond icon, under the clip. Move the playhead to the beginning of the clip at 12 seconds. Using the Move tool, press Shift as you drag the image up so that the feet are near the bottom of the canvas. Photoshop adds a second keyframe under the clip to complete the animation. Move the playhead across the time ruler to preview the animation. As you can see, you can build animation keyframes in any order. Sometimes, as in this example, it's easier to start from the final look and then work backwards. Close the clip's attributes. Then choose Save from the File menu to save your work so far. You can easily add features similar to the pan and zoom effects used in documentaries. You'll add them to the sunset to bring the video to a dramatic close. Move the playhead to the beginning of the 6_sunset clip. Click the triangle at the top right corner of the clip to display its motion panel. Choose Pan and Zoom from the pop-up menu. Choose Zoom Out from the Zoom menu and make sure Resize to Fill Canvas is selected. Then click an empty area of the timeline panel to close the motion panel. Move the playhead across the last clip to preview the effects. Simply drag and drop to add transitions, such as fading one clip into another. Click the Go to First Frame button in the upper left corner of the timeline panel to return the playhead to the beginning of the time ruler. Click the Transition button near the upper left corner of the timeline panel. Select Crossfade and change the duration value to 0.25 seconds. Drag the crossfade transition and drop it where the 1 family and 2 boat ride clips meet. Photoshop adjusts the ends of the clips to apply the transition and adds a white transition icon in the lower left corner of the second clip. Drag crossfade transitions between each of the other clips. Drag a fade with black transition onto the end of the final clip. To make the transition smoother, extend the Fade with Black transition by dragging its left edge out to about 1/3 the total length of the clip. Play back the entire sequence. Then choose Save from the File menu. Click the musical note icon in the audio track at the bottom of the timeline panel and choose Add Audio from the pop-up menu. Select the beachsong.mp3 file in the Lesson 11 folder and click Open. The audio file is added to the timeline, but it's much longer than the video. You'll use the Split at Playhead tool to shorten it. Move the playhead to the end of the 6_sunset clip. With the audio file still selected, click the Split at Playhead tool in the timeline panel. The audio file is clipped at that point, becoming 2 audio clips. Select the second audio file segment, the one that begins after the end of the 6_sunset clip. Press the Delete key on your keyboard to remove the selected clip. Now the audio file is the same length as the video. You'll add a fade so that it ends smoothly. Click the small triangle at the right edge of the audio clip to open the audio panel. Then enter 3 seconds for fade in and 5 seconds for fade out. Click an empty area of the timeline panel to close the audio panel and save your work so far. Click the play button in the upper left corner of the timeline panel to preview the video so far. It's looking good, but there's some unwanted background noise from the video clips. You'll mute that extra sound. Click the small triangle at the right end of the 2_boat ride clip. Click the Audio tab to see audio options and then select Mute Audio. Click an empty area of the timeline panel to close the audio-video panel. Click the small triangle at the right end of the 3_dog at beach clip. Click the Audio tab to see audio options and then select Mute Audio. Click an empty area of the timeline panel to close the panel. Play the timeline to check your audio changes. And then save your work. Start Photoshop and then immediately hold down Ctrl-Alt-Shift on Windows or Command-Option-Shift on Mac OS to restore the default preferences. When prompted, click Yes to delete the Adobe Photoshop settings file. Choose Browse in Bridge from the File menu. In the Favorites panel, click the Lessons folder, and then in the Content panel, double-click the Lesson 12 folder to open it. Adjust the thumbnail slider if necessary so you can see the thumbnail previews clearly. Then look at the 12a start.crw and 12a end.psd files. The original photograph of a Spanish-style church is a Camera Raw file, so it doesn't have the usual PSD or JPG file extension you've worked with so far in this book. It was shot with a Canon SLR camera, and its document uses the Canon proprietary .crw file extension. You'll process this Camera Raw image to make it brighter, sharper, and clearer, and then save it as both a JPEG file for the web and as a PSD file so that you could work on it further in Photoshop. Compare the 12b start.nef and 12b end.psd thumbnail previews. This time the start file was taken with a Nikon camera, and the raw image has a .nef extension. You'll perform color corrections and image enhancements in Camera Raw and Photoshop to achieve the end result. In Bridge, in the Lesson 12 folder, open the Mission folder, which contains 3 shots of the Spanish church you previewed earlier. Shift-click to select all of the images, Mission 01.crw, Mission 02.crw, and Mission 03.crw, and then choose Open in Camera Raw from the File menu. If a Welcome to Camera Raw screen appears, click Get Started. Both the Setup Camera Raw and Welcome to Camera Raw screens appear only the first time you start Camera Raw or the first time after you reset Camera Raw preferences, which are separate from Photoshop preferences. If the photos appear in a vertical strip along the left side of the Adobe Camera Raw window, click and hold the Film Strip menu button and choose Horizontal from the menu that appears. This is so that the layout matches the figures in this chapter. If you prefer the vertical film strip, you may use it for your own work. The Camera Raw dialog box displays a large preview of the selected image, and a film strip displays all open images. The histogram in the upper right corner shows the tonal range of the selected image. The workflow options below the preview window control the selected image's color space, bit depth, size, and resolution, which you can click to change. Tools along the right side of the dialog box let you zoom, pan, crop, straighten, and make other adjustments to the image. In the default mode, Edit, Camera Raw displays a stack of collapsible panels under the histogram. You can expand individual panels to precisely edit the selected image's color, tone, detail such as sharpening and noise reduction, correct lens distortions, and more. You can also save settings as a preset so you can apply them to other images. The Camera Raw options within the Edit mode are generally organized for good results by simply using the tabbed panels from top to bottom. But it's okay for you to adjust the options in any order, and you don't have to adjust every option. You'll explore these controls now as you edit the first image file. For this lesson, it will be useful to see the file names for each image. Click and hold the Film Strip menu button and choose Show File Names. Click each thumbnail in the film strip to preview each image before you begin. When you've seen all three, select the mission01.crw image. If the profile panel isn't already displayed under the histogram, click the Edit button. The profile panel is above the controls, so if it isn't visible, it might be scrolled out of view. Scroll the panel stack down until you can see the top. Choose Adobe Landscape from the profile menu. If you can't see white balance options under the profile menu, click the Basic panel heading to expand it. Choose Cloudy from the White Balance menu. Camera Raw adjusts the temperature and tint for a cloudy day. Sometimes a preset is an instant fix. In this case, though, there's still a blue cast to the image. You'll adjust the white balance manually. Select the White Balance tool to the right of the White Balance menu. To set an accurate white balance, select an object that should be white or gray. The spot where you click becomes a reference for neutral white balance. Camera Raw shifts the image colors accordingly. Click the white clouds in the image. The color balance of the image changes. Click a different area of the clouds. The color balance shifts again because that area of the clouds has slightly different color values. To find the best color balance quickly and easily, click the White Balance tool on an area that should be neutral. Clouds are not always a neutral color, depending on the time of day. In Camera Raw, clicking different areas changes color balance without altering the original image file, so you can experiment freely. Click the white area of the small sign in front of the church. This removes most of the color casts. To see the changes you've made, click and hold the Before After Views button at the bottom of the window and choose Before After Left Right from the pop-up menu. If you only click without holding, it cycles to the next option. Camera Raw displays the before image on the left and the after image on the right, so you can compare them. To see only the after image again, click and hold the Before After Views button and choose Single View. Or if you prefer, you can leave both views visible so you can see how the image changes as you continue to alter it. Click Auto at the top of the Edit Mode panel stack. The Auto button changes several settings in the basic panel, and the image is greatly improved. Auto correction may produce a useful image right away because it's based on advanced Adobe Sensei machine learning technology, which is trained using a wide variety of professionally corrected sample images. This makes Auto a quick way to reach a good starting point for your own edits. If you like the results, you can study and learn from the adjustments made by Auto. You can also choose to keep some Auto adjustments and change others, or you can enter your own adjustments as you're about to do. Set the options as follows: exposure of 0.5, contrast 0, highlights -20, shadows 70, whites 20, blacks -10, clarity 20, and vibrance 20. These settings brighten the image, especially the dark shadow areas, and boost color without oversaturating it. Click the Zoom Levels menu near the bottom left corner of the window to zoom in to 100%. Then select the hand tool and drag the image preview to pan or slide it down until you see the cross at the top of the mission tower. In the Edit Mode panel stack under the histogram, scroll down until you see the Detail panel and click its heading to expand it. The sharpening option determines how much Camera Raw emphasizes fine details. One approach is to exaggerate the sharpening value at first to more easily see the effect of other sharpening options. And after those settings are tuned, then reduce the sharpening value back down to a more realistic level. Change the sharpening value to 100. Click the disclosure triangle above the right end of the sharpening slider to reveal more options. Many Camera Raw features have advanced options that are hidden to save space. If you see a disclosure triangle along the right side, you know there are more options available there if you need them. Change the radius value to 0.9. The radius option determines how far out from a pixel that sharpening is applied. For properly focused images without motion blur, a radius value of 1 pixel works well to start. You might decrease the radius value for images with fine details that are precisely focused, or increase radius to help sharpen blurred details. Change the detail value to 25 unless it's already set that way. The Detail option controls the balance between sharpening edges and textures for images with fine details. Lower values draw sharpening toward edges, leaving broad areas smoother. Higher values can bring out textures in broad areas. Change the masking value to 61. The masking slider is similar to the detail slider in that it helps keep sharpening constrained along content edges, but masking is more generally useful because it isn't just for fine details. A higher masking value makes it easier to increase the sharpening value without over-sharpening noise and textures in broad areas of the image that should look smooth, such as a face or the sky. Lower the masking value when you want sharpening to emphasize details in broad areas, such as the weave of threads in fabric. After you've adjusted the radius, detail, and masking sliders, you can lower the sharpening slider to a more reasonable final value. Decrease the sharpening slider to 70. Click and hold the Film Strip menu button and choose Select All to select all of the images in the film strip. Click and hold the Film Strip menu button again and choose Sync Settings. The Synchronize dialog box appears, listing all the settings you can apply to the images. By default, all options except geometry, crop, healing, and masking are selected. For this project, you can accept the default selections even though you didn't change all the settings. Click OK in the Synchronize dialog box. When you synchronize the settings across all of the selected images, the thumbnails update to reflect the changes you made. To review the changed images, click each thumbnail in the film strip. In the Camera Raw dialog box, click the Film Strip menu button and choose Select All to make sure all 3 images are selected. Click the Convert and Save Selected Images button near the top right corner of the Camera Raw window. In the Save Options dialog box, choose Save in Same Location from the Destination menu. In the File Naming area, leave Document Name in the first box. Choose JPEG from the Format menu and set the quality level to High, 8 to 9. In the Color Space area, choose sRGB IEC 61966 2.1 from the Space menu. In the Image Sizing area, select Resize to Fit, and then choose Long Side from the Resize to Fit menu. Enter 800 pixels. This will set the long side of an image to 800 pixels whether it's a portrait, tall, or landscape, wide image. When you choose long side, the dimension of the short side will automatically be adjusted proportionally. Type 72 pixels per inch for the resolution value. These settings will save your corrected images as smaller, downsampled JPEG files, which you can share with colleagues on the web. They'll be resized so that most viewers won't need to scroll to see the entire image when it opens. Your files will be named mission01.jpg, mission02.jpg, and mission03.jpg. Click Save. In the Camera Raw dialog box, a readout in the bottom left corner indicates how many images have been processed until all the images have been saved. The CRW thumbnails still appear in the Camera Raw dialog box. However, in the Mission folder, you now also have JPEG versions as well as the original RAW image files, which you can continue to edit or leave for another time. Now you'll open a copy of the Mission 01 image in Photoshop. Select the Mission 01.crw image thumbnail in the film strip in the Camera Raw dialog box. Then click the menu of options to the right of the Open button and choose Open as Object. The Open as Object button opens the image as a Smart Object layer in Photoshop. Instead of converting the Camera Raw file to Photoshop format, it's preserved in Camera Raw format inside the Photoshop document. This lets you continue making RAW-based adjustments at any time by double-clicking the Smart Object thumbnail in the Layers panel to open Camera Raw. If instead you had clicked Open, the image would be permanently converted into a normal Photoshop layer, and no more RAW format edits would be possible. In Photoshop, choose Save As from the File menu. In the Save As dialog box, choose Photoshop for the format, rename the file mission_final.psd, navigate to the Lesson 12 folder and click Save. Click OK if the Photoshop Format Options dialog box appears. Then close the file. The default rendering of the raw image uses the Adobe Color Profile and has a slight color cast. You'll get started by correcting both. In Bridge, navigate to the Lesson 12 folder. Select the 12b_start.nef file and choose Open in Camera Raw from the File menu. In the Edit options, choose Adobe Portrait from the Profile menu to apply a more portrait-friendly initial rendering. In the Basic panel in Camera Raw, select the White Balance tool and then click a white area in the model's dress to remove a green color cast. Click the Film Strip menu button to hide it. With only one file open, you don't need to use the film strip. Hiding it frees up more screen space for viewing the image. In the Edit options, click Auto. The auto corrections improve the image. The automatic highlights adjustment reveals more detail in the white dress and lace hairpiece. However, some of the changes go too far, so you'll edit certain settings. Adjust these specific basic panel options. Double-click the slider control for exposure to reset its value to 0. Double-clicking is a shortcut for resetting an option to its default value. Set contrast to -20 and set clarity to 8. Now you're ready to give the model's face some focused attention. You'll use the Content-Aware Remove tool to hide blemishes and smooth the skin. In the toolbar along the right edge of the Camera Raw window, click the healing icon. Under the histogram, Healing Tools replace the Edit tools. In the Healing options, select the Content-Aware Remove tool. The Content-Aware Remove tool can delete content such as skin blemishes and seamlessly fill them in with surrounding content. It's similar to the Spot Healing Brush tool you used in Photoshop in Lesson 2. Set the view magnification to 100%. In the healing options, set size to 15 and opacity to 100. Click one of the spots on the face. The Content-Aware Remove tool fills in the spot you clicked using the content around it. Drag the Content-Aware Remove tool over the dark blemish on the neck. Dragging is useful here because the current size setting may not be able to remove the entire blemish in one click. If Show Overlay is enabled in the Healing tools, click to disable it so that you can better see the results of your corrections. When Show Overlay is enabled, you can see the locations of that tool's edits on the image, represented by icons. This lets you select and then change or delete your edits. When an edit draws from source content elsewhere in the image, more common when using the Heal or Clone tool, Show Overlay shows you where the source is and lets you drag the source to change its location. Brush over fine lines around the eyes and mouth. You can also brush away freckles and minor blemishes on her face, neck, arms, and chest. Experiment with simply clicking, using very short strokes, and creating longer brush strokes. Remove distracting lines and blemishes, but leave enough that the face retains its character. You can practice by removing the jewelry on the nose, but on a real job it may be preferable to leave the jewelry visible if it's meaningful to the subject and part of their character. The safe thing to do is to ask the subject before removing personal decorations such as jewelry. You can also experiment with removing blemishes with the Heal tool instead of the Content-Aware Remove tool. In general, the Heal tool may do a better job of preserving existing textures. You'll use masked adjustments to brighten the eyes and lips. A mask constrains the adjustment to a specific area. Applying a Camera Raw masked adjustment is similar to painting white in an adjustment layer mask in Photoshop. Use the Hand tool to change the view so that you can see the eyes. Click the masking icon and then click Brush. The masking panel appears, listing a new mask and new brush in italic because they have not yet been created. They'll be created as soon as you use the brush. Notice that the edit settings that were under the histogram are now under a brush heading. When a masked adjustment is selected in the Masks panel, the settings shown are for that selected adjustment, not for the entire image. You'll change brush settings to set up what this brush adjustment will do. You want it to increase the saturation of whatever you brush, in this case the irises of the eyes. So in the brush options, change these settings. Set size to 2, feather to 100, flow to 50, density to 100, and turn off auto mask. Scroll the brush settings until you see the color panel and set saturation to 70. Drag the brush tool over the irises in the eyes to increase their saturation. If you think the irises are oversaturated, make sure brush 1 is still selected in the Masks panel, and then reduce the saturation value until it looks reasonable. Mask 1 no longer appears in italics because the mask was created after you brushed. If you make many masks, naming them helps you identify them later. In the Masks panel, double-click Mask 1, rename it Eye Irises, and click OK. In the Masks panel, select the Show Overlay option to enable it. A red overlay appears showing you where you brushed. If you see areas you did not intend to brush with the current adjustment, as long as the brush mask is selected in the Masks panel, you can subtract areas from the mask by holding down Alt on Windows or Option on Mac OS as you brush. Now you'll create another brush mask to desaturate the red corners of the eye. In the Masks panel, click the blue Create New Mask button and choose Brush. In the Color panel, set saturation to -50 and brush the red corners of the eyes. In the Masks panel, double-click Mask 1, rename it Eye Corners, and click OK. Now you'll use another brush adjustment to brighten the other areas around the eyes. In the Masks panel, click the blue Create New Mask button and choose Brush. Scroll the brush settings until you see the Light panel and set exposure to 0.5. Brush over the white areas of the eyes, the irises, and the shadows above the eyes. In the Masks panel, double-click Mask 1, rename it Eye Brighten, and click OK. Now step back and review your work. In the Masks panel, click the eye icon for the Eye Brightness mask to hide it. Then click it again to show it. Evaluate whether you need to adjust anything and make any needed adjustments to that mask while it's selected. For example, if exposure is too strong, make sure the Eye Brighten mask is selected in the Masks panel and reduce the exposure value. You can experiment with how other light settings affect this mask, such as shadows and whites, to find the right combination. Or create more brush masks with different settings for each area. In Camera Raw, you can use a masked adjustment that automatically recognizes skin on people so that it's easier to retouch skin without affecting the entire raw image. Set the view magnification to fit. In the Masks panel, click the Create New Mask button and choose Select People. Camera Raw searches for people in the image, which may take a few moments. Then, under Person Mask Options, a list of identified people appears. In this image, there's only one person. Mask 1 appears in the Masks panel. This is the current mask. A red overlay for Mask 1 appears over the image. In Person Mask Options, if options are not active, click the circular person thumbnail to select it. Make sure that face skin and body skin are selected and that all the other options are deselected, and click Create. Camera Raw automatically isolates face and body skin areas and creates masks for those areas. You didn't have to do any manual masking. It creates a new Mask 1 with separate body skin and face skin submasks for the person, named Person 1. Make sure Mask 1 is selected. You'll need to see skin details, so set the view magnification to 100%. In the options for Mask 1, scroll until you see the Effects panel and set the texture value to -30. You should see the skin texture become smoother because a negative texture value de-emphasizes detail. If you didn't notice a change, toggle the eye icon for Mask 1 in the Masks panel. Again, if you think that adjustment is too much or too little, go ahead and adjust the texture value while Mask 1 is selected in the Masks panel. While the skin mask is selected, it's a good time to also make any other skin tone or color adjustments that you think are needed. For example, if there's a color cast to remove from the skin, try adjusting options in Mask 1 panels, such as Color and Curve. In the Masks panel, double-click Mask 1, rename it Skin, and click OK. Click the Edit button to close the Masks panel and set the view magnification to fit so that you can review the entire image. Click Done. Great work! The Done button saves your changes and closes Camera Raw, returning you to Bridge. Start Photoshop and then immediately hold down Ctrl-Alt-Shift on Windows or Command-Option-Shift on Mac OS to restore the default preferences. When prompted, click Yes to delete the Adobe Photoshop settings file. Choose Browse in Bridge from the File menu. In the Favorites panel, click the Lessons folder, and then double-click the Lesson 13 folder in the Content panel. View the 13end.psd file in Bridge. There are 8 buttons at the bottom of the page, arranged in 2 rows. You'll transform images into buttons for the top row and use an action to prepare the buttons for the second row. Double-click the 13start.psd thumbnail to open the file in Photoshop. Click OK if you see the Missing Profile dialog box. Choose Save As from the File menu. Rename the file 13working.psd and click Save. Click OK in the Photoshop Format Options dialog box. Choose Edit, Preferences, Units and Rulers on Windows or Photoshop Preferences, Units and Rulers on Mac OS. In the Units area of the dialog box, make sure Pixels is selected in the Rulers menu and then click OK. You want to work in pixels because this document is intended to be a web page. Choose Info from the Window menu to open the Info panel. The Info panel displays information dynamically as you move the pointer or make selections. Which information it displays depends on the tool that's selected. You'll use it to determine the position of the ruler guide based on the Y coordinate and the size of an area you select based on the width and height. It's also handy for seeing the values of colors under the pointer. If the rulers aren't visible, choose Rulers from the View menu. Frames are easy to add because you create them in the same way you'd create a shape, such as a rectangle or circle. In the Tools panel, select the Frame tool. Drag to create a rectangular frame over the large gray rectangle at the top of the document. The frame appears as a rectangle with an X inside it. The X indicates that it's not just a vector shape, but also a placeholder frame. As a placeholder, it's ready to contain a graphic at any time. When you finalize the images and other graphics that go into a document, you can add them to the placeholder frames you've created. In the Layers panel, make sure the Frame 1 layer is still selected. Choose Place Linked from the File menu. Navigate to the Lesson 13 Art folder, select the northshore.jpg file, and click Place. The image appears inside the selected frame and automatically resizes to fill the frame. When a frame is selected in the Layers panel, you can see and edit frame attributes in the Properties panel so that you can change a frame after you create it. With the Frame tool, draw a rectangle frame between the row of 4 gray squares and the bottom of the document. The exact size and position isn't important because you're about to edit it. With the frame selected, enter the following values in the Properties panel. If it isn't already open, choose Properties from the Window menu. Enter a width of 180, a height of 180, X position of 40, Y position of 648. After you apply all of the values, the size and position of the frame should now match the first gray square. The other 3 squares in the row are the same size, so instead of drawing all 4 squares manually, you can simply duplicate them. Duplicating a frame is similar to duplicating a layer because frames appear in the Layers panel. In the Layers panel, drag the Frame 1 layer and drop it on the Create a New Layer button. The duplicate layer, Frame 1 Copy, appears in the Layers panel. With the Frame 1 copy layer selected, in the Properties panel, change the X value to 300. This makes the duplicate square frame line up with the second gray square. Repeat this step to create 2 more duplicate frames. In the Properties panel, change the X value of the third frame to 550 and the X value of the fourth frame to 800. You've created a complete row of 4 placeholder frames. When graphics become available to use in the layout, you can quickly add them to each frame. One convenient way is by using the Properties panel. Make sure the first square frame, Frame 1, is selected. In the Properties panel, click the Inset Image menu and choose Place from Local Disk Linked. Navigate to the Lesson 13 Art folder, select the beach.jpg file, and click Place. The beach.jpg file is scaled to fit the frame. The name of the frame changes to Beach Frame, and the Properties panel displays the folder path to the linked document that's placed in the frame. Repeat this step for the other 3 square frames, placing the files northshore.jpg, deyoung.jpg, and main1.jpg. Remember that you can also add a linked image to a frame by Alt-dragging on Windows or Option-dragging on Mac OS an image from the desktop or bridge and dropping it into a frame. In the Layers panel, click to select the Frame Layer thumbnail, the right thumbnail with the link icon, of the main 1 frame layer. This selects just the contents of the frame. Clicking the left thumbnail would select the frame. Choose Free Transform from the Edit menu. Drag the image or any of its edge handles to improve the composition of the image within the frame, and press Enter or Return when you're done. After adding graphics to frames, it's always a good idea to inspect all of the frames to make sure the graphics are well composed within them. Feel free to adjust any of the other images within their frames. If the Info panel isn't already open, choose Info from the Window menu to open it. Position the Move tool pointer over the horizontal ruler and drag a ruler guide down until the Y value in the Info panel is 795 pixels. You'll use this guide to draw a band across the bottom of the image for the label. Zoom in on the first square image of the man on the beach, then select Beach Frame in the Layers panel. You'll use this image to design the first button. Select the Rectangle tool in the Tools panel. Then drag to create a rectangle shape across the bottom of the image aligned with the guides and image edges. The shape should be 180 pixels wide and 33 pixels high. Press Enter or Return to commit the new shape, which is named Rectangle 1. Rename it Band. With the band layer selected, click the Fill swatch in the Options bar, click the Color Picker icon, and then select the dark blue. I'll use Hex 194879. Click OK to close the color picker, and then press Enter or Return to close the fill options. Click the Stroke swatch in the Options bar, click No Color, and close the stroke options. The new shape appears as a dark blue band at the bottom of the first image. You'll add text to it next. Select the Horizontal Type tool and select the following settings in the Options bar. Myriad Pro for the font family, Regular for the font style, 18 point for the size, Strong for anti-aliasing, Center for alignment, and White for the color. Click in the center of the blue band and type Gallery 1. Use the Move tool to adjust the position of the type layer if necessary. Select both the Gallery 1 and Band layers in the Layers panel and choose Group Layers from the Layer menu. Photoshop creates a group named Group 1. Double-click the Group 1 layer name and rename it Gallery 1. Then expand the group. The layers you selected are indented, indicating they're part of that group. Drag the Gallery 1 layer group up so that it's above all of the frame layers, and then choose Save from the File menu. In the Layers panel, make sure the Gallery 1 layer group is selected. With the Move tool selected, make sure Auto Select is not selected in the Options bar. With the Move tool, hold down the Alt key on Windows or Option key on Mac as you drag the Gallery 1 button to the right, and drop it when it snaps into alignment with the second square frame and its guides. Holding down Alt or Option creates a copy of the selected layer group as you drag it with the Move tool. When you release the mouse button, the copy, Gallery 1 copy, should be selected in the Layers panel. Repeat this step by Alt dragging on Windows or Option dragging on Mac, a copy of the second button over the third square frame, and then do it one more time to copy the third button over the fourth square frame, completing the row. Now edit the text in 3 copies to match their images. With the horizontal text tool, select the 1 text in the second button and change 1 so that it now says Gallery 2. Repeat this step for the third and fourth buttons so that they say Gallery 3 and Gallery 4 respectively. After you finish editing the Gallery 4 text, commit the last text edit by selecting the Move tool. In the Layers panel, rename the layer groups to be consistent with their contents. Double-click the name of the Gallery 1 copy layer group and name it Gallery 2. Double-click the name of the Gallery 1 copy 2 layer group and name it Gallery 3. And double-click the name of the Gallery 1 copy 3 layer group and name it Gallery 4. Now move each button image into its layer group. In the Layers panel, do the following. Drag the beach frame layer into the Gallery 1 layer group below the Gallery 1 and band layers. Drag the upper North Shore frame layer into the Gallery 2 layer group below the Gallery 2 and band layers. Drag the De Young frame layer into the Gallery 3 layer group below the Gallery 3 and band layers. And drag the main 1 frame layer into the Gallery 4 layer group below the Gallery 4 and band layers. Click the arrow next to each of the gallery layer group icons to collapse them, simplifying the Layers panel display. Now you'll add a drop shadow and stroke to improve the appearance of the button. Select the Gallery 1 layer group in the Layers panel. Then, click the Add a Layer Style button at the bottom of the Layers panel and choose Drop Shadow. In the Layer Style dialog box, change these settings in the structure area. Opacity of 27%, distance of 9 pixels, spread of 19%, and size of 18 pixels. With the Layer Style dialog box still open, select Stroke on the left, making sure that it's enabled, and apply the following settings. A size of 1 pixel, position inside, and for the color, click the color swatch to open the color picker, then click the blue band to sample its color, and click OK to select it. Click OK to apply both layer styles. The drop shadow and stroke appear on the button's layer group in the document and also in the Layers panel. In the Layers panel, position the pointer over the Effects icon next to the Gallery 1 layer group. Then hold down the Alt key on Windows or Option key on Mac OS as you drag the FX icon and drop it on the Gallery 2 layer group. This is a quick way to copy layer effects to another layer or layer group. Repeat this step to copy the layer effects to the Gallery 3 and Gallery 4 layer groups. In the Layers panel, expand the Button Art layer group, and then click the eye icon for the navigation layer to make it visible. Then collapse the Button Art layer group. This layer represents the navigation among sections of the museum website. Save the file and then close it. Choose Open from the File menu and navigate to the Lesson 13 Buttons folder. Double-click the gallery5.jpg file to open it in Photoshop. Choose Actions from the Window menu to open the Actions panel. Close the Default Actions Set folder. You'll create and use your own set for this lesson. Click the Create New Set button at the bottom of the Actions panel. In the New Set dialog box, name the set buttons and click OK. Photoshop comes with several pre-recorded actions, all in the default action set. You can use action sets to organize your actions so that it's easier to find the one you want or create. Click the Create New Action button at the bottom of the Actions panel. Name the action Resizing and Styling Images and click Record. It's a good idea to name actions in a way that makes it clear what the actions do so you can find them easily later. At the bottom of the Actions panel, the Begin Recording button turns red to let you know that recording is in progress. Don't let the fact that you're recording rush you. Take all the time you need to perform the procedure accurately. Actions don't record in real time. They record steps as you complete them, but they play them back as quickly as possible. You'll start by resizing and sharpening the image. Choose Image Size from the Image menu and do the following. Make sure Resample is selected. For width, choose Pixels from the Units menu and then change the width to 180. Confirm that the height is changed to 180 pixels. It should, because original proportions are preserved using the Constrain Aspect Ratio link icon to the left of the width and height values, which is selected by default. Click OK. Choose Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, and apply the following settings and then click OK. An amount of 100% and a radius of 1 pixel. You need to make some additional changes to the image that you can't make as long as the background layer is locked. You'll convert it to a regular layer. Double-click the background layer name in the Layers panel. In the New Layer dialog box, name the layer Button and click OK. When you rename a background layer, you're converting it to a regular layer, so Photoshop displays the New Layer dialog box. But no layers are added. The background layer becomes the new layer. Now that you've converted the background layer, you can change the canvas size and add layer styles. Choose Canvas Size from the Image menu and do the following. Make sure the unit of measure is set to pixels. Change the width to 220 pixels and the height to 220 pixels. Click the center square in the anchor area to ensure the canvas is extended evenly on all sides. And then click OK. Choose Layer, Layer Style, Drop Shadow. In the Layer Style dialog box, set the opacity to 27%, angle to 120 degrees, a distance of 9 pixels, spread of 19%, and a size of 18 pixels. With the Layer Style dialog box still open, select Stroke on the left and apply the following settings. A size of 1 pixel, position on the inside, and then for the color, if the color swatch doesn't already match the other blue band you made, click the color swatch and sample the blue band as you did earlier. Click OK to apply both layer styles. Choose Save As from the File menu. Choose Photoshop for the format and click Save. Click OK if the Photoshop Format Options dialog box appears. Close the file. The home screen appears, so click the Photoshop icon so that you can see the Actions panel again. Click the Stop Playing Recording button at the bottom of the Actions panel. The action you just recorded, resizing and styling images, is now saved in the buttons set in the Actions panel. Click the arrows to expand different sets of steps. You can examine each recorded step and the specific selections you made. Choose Open from the File menu and navigate to the Lesson 13 Buttons folder. Control Select on Windows or Command Select on Mac OS the Gallery 6 JPEG, Gallery 7 JPEG, and Gallery 8 JPEG files, and click Open. They open as tabs in the document. Confirm that Buttons is chosen in the Set menu, and Resizing and Styling Images, the action you just created, is chosen in the Action menu. Choose Opened Files from the Source menu. Make sure None is chosen for the destination, and then click OK. Photoshop plays the action, applying its steps to all the files that are open. You can also apply an action to an entire folder of images without opening them. Because you saved the file and closed it while you were recording the action, Photoshop saves each of the images as a PSD file in its original folder and then closes the file. After Photoshop closes the last file, the home screen appears. If the file 13working.psd is in the recent list in the home screen, click its name to reopen it. If not, choose Open from the File menu to open it. In the Layers panel, select the Gallery 4 layer group name. This ensures that the files about to be placed are not added inside any layer groups, because new layers are added above the selected layer. Choose Place Embedded from the File menu. You'll place these files as embedded smart objects. Because they're embedded, the entire image is copied into the Photoshop file. In the Place Embedded dialog box, navigate to the Lesson 13 Buttons folder and double-click the Gallery5.psd file. Photoshop places the Gallery5.psd file in the center of the 13working.psd file. But that's not where you want it to go, so you'll move it. Drag the image into position below the Gallery 1 button. Use the guides to align the image with the one above. When it's in position, commit the change by pressing Enter or Return. Repeat these steps to place the Gallery 6 PSD, Gallery 7 PSD, and Gallery 8 PSD files, aligning them below the Gallery 2, Gallery 3, and Gallery 4 buttons. You've completed the web page. Save your work and close the file. In the Photoshop home screen, click Open. Navigate to the Lesson 13 folder and open the file 13museo.psd. Choose Save As from the File menu. Rename the file 13museo_working.psd and click Save. Click OK in the Photoshop Format Options dialog box. This is a web page that's been adapted for a responsive web design so that it will work well on display sizes from desktops to smartphones. Choose All Layers from the Select menu. Choose Layer, New, Artboard from Layers. Name the new artboard Desktop and click OK. It's above the new artboard and also on its new artboard group in the Layers panel. Make sure the artboard tool is selected. It's grouped with the Move tool in the Tools panel. Then Alt or Option click the Add Artboard button to the right of the artboard to duplicate both the desktop artboard and its contents. In the Layers panel, double-click the name of the desktop copied duplicate artboard and name it iPhone. In the Properties panel, click the Set Artboard to Preset menu and choose iPhone 876. That artboard preset applies the pixel dimensions of an iPhone 8, iPhone 7, and iPhone 6, 750 pixels wide by 1334 pixels tall. Now you can develop a design for the iPhone size using the elements of the desktop design. It will also be easier to maintain design consistency since both the desktop and mobile designs are in the same document. Save your work. In the Layers panel, expand the iPhone artboard and shift-select the first and last layers in that artboard only. Don't select the artboard name itself. Choose Free Transform from the Edit menu. In the Options bar, do the following. Click the Toggle Reference Point checkbox to select it. This makes the reference point visible in the transformation bounding box and makes it possible for you to reposition the reference point. Select the top left square of the reference point location option. Scaling, rotating, or other transformations will now be performed from the top left corner of the bounding box instead of the center, until the transformation is committed. Make sure the Maintain Aspect Ratio button, the link icon, is selected so that the selected layers will scale proportionally. Enter 726 pixels for the width. Press Enter or Return to apply the new settings to all selected layers as a unit. Press Enter or Return only once to apply the value in the Options bar. If you press Enter or Return a second time, it will commit the transformation. Those settings proportionally scale the selected layers to 726 pixels wide, from the top left corner of the selection to better fit the artboard. Position the pointer inside the Free Transform bounding box, and then shift-drag the selected layers down until you can see the entire Museo Arts logo at the top of the page. Press Enter or Return to exit Free Transform mode, and choose Deselect Layers from the Select menu. In the Layers panel, select the logo layer and choose Free Transform from the Edit menu. Drag the bottom right handle on the Free Transform bounding box until the transformation values next to the pointer indicate that the logo is 672 pixels wide, matching the width of the other elements. Then press Enter or Return. This width makes the logo more readable on a smartphone screen. In the Layers panel, select the Banner Art, left column, and right column layers. With the Move tool, shift-drag the selected layers down until the top is even with the top of the blue button stack on the left. Now you'll take the two-column layout and make each column fill the width of the artboard. But first, you'll need to accommodate them by making the artboard taller. Select the iPhone artboard in the Layers panel, and then with the Artboard tool, drag the bottom handle of the iPhone artboard until the transformation values next to the pointer indicate that it's 2800 pixels tall. Select the right column layer group in the Layers panel, and then choose Free Transform from the Edit menu. In the Options bar, do the following. Make sure the Toggle Reference Point checkbox is selected, and then select the top right square of the Reference Point Location option. Make sure the Maintain Aspect Ratio link button is selected, and enter 672 pixels for the width. Press Enter or Return to apply the new width. Position the pointer inside the Free Transform bounding box, and then shift-drag the selected layer group down until the transformation values next to the pointer indicate a vertical move of 1200 pixels. The Y value in the Options bar should say about 1680 pixels when the top right square of the reference point locator is selected. Press Return or Enter to commit and exit the transformation. Select the left column layer group in the Layers panel and then choose Free Transform from the Edit menu. In the Options bar, do the following. Make sure the Toggle Reference Point checkbox is selected, and then select the top left square of the reference point location option. Make sure the Maintain Aspect Ratio link button is selected and enter 672 pixels for the width. Press Enter or Return to apply the new width. Then press Enter or Return to commit and exit the transformation. Feel free to adjust the positioning and the vertical spacing among the layer groups and layers. Choose Fit on Screen from the View menu to see both artboards at once, and then save your work. You've adapted a desktop-sized multi-column web page layout for a single-column, smartphone-sized layout, and both layouts exist on 2 artboards in one Photoshop document. Choose File, Export, Export As. This command exports each whole artboard so you can see each artboard in the list on the left side of the Export As dialog box. You can preview the exported dimensions and file size of each item. The preview is determined by the settings on the right side of the Export As dialog box. In the list on the left, click the iPhone artboard to select it, and then set the Export As options to the following. In the Scale All section, make sure size is set to 1x and the suffix field is empty. In the File Settings section, choose JPEG from the Format menu and set the quality to 6. In the Color Space section, select Convert to sRGB. The other settings can be left to the defaults. In the list on the left, click the Desktop artboard to select it and apply the same settings. In Scale All, make sure size is set to 1x and the suffix field is empty. In File Settings, choose JPEG for the format and set the quality to 6. In the Color Space section, select Convert to sRGB and leave the other settings at the defaults. Make sure Select All is selected. Click Export. Navigate to the Lesson 13 folder, double-click the Assets folder, and then click Save or Open. Switch to the desktop or bridge and open the Assets folder in the Lesson 13 folder to see the desktop.jpg and iPhone.jpg files representing each artboard. The file names are based on the artboard names. You can send those files for client review. Switch back to Photoshop. In the Layers panel, Shift-select all layers of the desktop artboard. Choose Export As from the Layer menu. Don't choose Export As from the File menu. Notice that in the Export As dialog box, each layer is listed separately, because they will export separately. Click Button Art to highlight it, then hold down Shift and click Right Column to highlight the 5 top layers. Now, when you adjust settings in the following steps, those changes will affect all highlighted layers. In the Export As dialog box, enter the same settings that you did in the previous lesson. Deselect the checkbox for layer 0 so that it won't export. It's a solid white background that could be implemented through the web page code itself. Click Export. Navigate to the Assets_Desktop folder in the Lesson 13 folder and click Open or Save. You have exported all assets for the desktop artboard into a single folder. Repeat these steps for the iPhone artboard. Click Export. Navigate to the Assets_iPhone folder in the Lesson 13 folder and click Open or Save. In Photoshop, choose Browse in Bridge from the File menu. Navigate to the Assets_Desktop folder in the Lesson 13 folder and inspect the images by browsing each file with the Preview panel open. If you want, you can also inspect the assets you exported to the Assets_iPhone folder. Each layer you exported is in its own file. You are able to quickly produce two different sets of files for two different screen sizes. By using the file-based export as command, in File, Export, Export As, you created JPEG images of the complete desktop and iPhone artboard. By using the layer-based Export As command, in the Layers panel menu or in the Layer menu, Export As, you created assets from the individual layers of each artboard. In Photoshop, save your changes and close the document. Start Photoshop and then immediately hold down Ctrl-Alt-Shift on Windows or Command-Option-Shift on Mac OS to restore the default preferences. When prompted, click Yes to delete the Adobe Photoshop settings file. Choose Open from the File menu. Navigate to the Lesson 14 folder and double-click the 14start.psd file. This file may take longer to open on an older computer. Choose Save As from the File menu, navigate to the Lesson 14 folder, and save the file as 14working.psd. Click OK if the Photoshop Format Options dialog box appears. Choose Image Size from the Image menu. Verify that the width and height are the final output size in inches and that the resolution is appropriate. For most printing, 300 pixels per inch produces good results. This image has a width of 11 inches and a height of 17 inches, which is the final size of the poster. Its resolution is 300 pixels per inch. The size and resolution are appropriate. Click OK to close the dialog box. Next, you'll look closely at the image and correct any problems. When you prepare your own images for printing, zoom in and scroll to view the entire image closely. Select the Zoom tool in the Tools panel and zoom in on the photos in the lower third of the poster. The photo of tourists is flat and a little muddy looking. Select the Tourists layer in the Layers panel, and then click the Curves icon in the Adjustments panel to add a Curves adjustment layer. Click the Clip to Layer button at the bottom of the Properties panel to create a clipping mask. The clipping mask ensures that the adjustment layer affects only the layer directly below it in the Layers panel. If the new adjustment layer was not made into a clipping mask, it would affect all of the layers below it. In the Properties panel, select the white point eyedropper tool. Find that point as the brightest neutral part of the image. Zoom in as needed to click precisely. Because the white shirt was not very bright, clicking it as a white point reference brightens it and the rest of the tones in the rest of the image and rebalances the colors in the image. The image of tourists looks better, but the image of the statue appears flat and lacks contrast. You'll fix that with a Levels adjustment layer. Select the statue layer in the Layers panel, and then click the Levels icon in the Adjustments panel to add a Levels adjustment layer. Click the Clip to Layer button at the bottom of the Properties panel to create a clipping mask so that the adjustment layer affects only the statue layer. In the Properties panel, click the Calculate a More Accurate Histogram icon to refresh the histogram display. The Alert icon next to the initial Calculate a More Accurate Histogram icon indicates that the histogram is based on cached image data. Photoshop first displays the histogram based on cached data because it displays more quickly, but is often less accurate. Refreshing the histogram ensures that it's accurate and up to date before you make edits based on it. Move the input level sliders to punch up the image. I'll use the values 31, 1.6, and 235. Remember that to increase contrast, drag the black point left and the white point right input sliders toward the center, making sure that the highlight and shadow detail is still visible, not clipped or excluded. Save the file. The whole poster looks better after your improvements to the photos of the tourists and statue. You'll customize the default settings for interpreting color. Choose Color Settings from the Edit menu to open the Color Settings dialog box. Without clicking, don't change any settings, hover the pointer over each part of the dialog box, including the names of sections such as working spaces, the menu names, and the menu options. As you move the pointer, Photoshop displays information about each item in the description area at the bottom of the Color Settings dialog box. Now you'll choose a set of options designed for a print workflow. Choose North America Prepress 2 from the Settings menu. The working spaces and color management policy options change for a prepress workflow. Then click OK. Choose Fit on Screen from the View menu. Choose Gamut Warning from the View menu. Photoshop compares the document colors to the current CMYK color space and displays a neutral gray in the document window to indicate where document colors are outside the CMYK color gamut. The gray gamut warning covers much of the image, especially the blue areas. A typical CMYK press can reproduce a relatively narrow range of blue compared to most RGB gamuts. So it's not unusual for an image to have RGB blue values that are outside a CMYK printing gamut. In out-of-gamut areas, the printer would end up printing the closest shade of blue its inks can reproduce on a given paper. Because the gray indicator color can be hard to distinguish in the image, you'll change it to a more visible color. Choose Edit, Preferences, Transparency and Gamut on Windows, or Photoshop Preferences, Transparency and Gamut on Mac. Click the color sample in the gamut warning area at the bottom of the dialog box. Select a vivid color, such as purple or bright green, and click OK. Click OK to close the Preferences dialog box. The bright new color you chose appears instead of the neutral gray as the gamut warning color. It should be much more obvious which areas are out of gamut. If this was a real job, you might consult your pre-press service provider to discuss how their press will reproduce that blue color and whether it's worth editing the color. Choose Gamut Warning from the View menu to turn off the preview of out-of-gamut colors. Choose View, Proof Setup, Custom. The Customize Proof Condition dialog box opens. Make sure Preview is selected. From the Device to Simulate menu, choose a profile that represents the final output device, such as that for the printer you'll use to print the image. If you don't have a specific printer, use the profile Working CMYK US Web Coded Swap version 2, the current default. If you've chosen a different profile, make sure Preserve Numbers is not selected. The Preserve Numbers option simulates how colors will appear if they're not converted to the output device color space. This option may be named Preserve CMYK Numbers when you select a CMYK output profile. Make sure Relative Colorimetric is selected for the rendering intent. A rendering intent determines how the color is converted from one color space to another. Relative colorimetric preserves color relationships without sacrificing color accuracy and is the standard rendering intent for printing in North America and Europe. Select Simulate Black Ink if it's available for the profile you chose. Then deselect it and select Simulate Paper Color. Notice that selecting this option automatically selects Simulate Black Ink. Notice that the image appears to lose contrast. Most paper is not pure white. Paper color simulates that. Most black ink is not perfectly solid or neutral black, so black ink simulates the actual ink. Both get that information from the output profile if available. Don't be alarmed by the loss of contrast and saturation that you may see when you turn on the display options. While the image might look worse, the soft proofing simulation is just being honest about how the image will actually print. Paper and ink simply cannot reproduce the same range of tones and colors as a monitor. Choosing higher quality paper stock and inks can help a printed image match the screen more closely. Toggle the preview option to see the difference between the image as it is displayed on screen and as it will print, based on the profile you selected. Then click OK. Click the View menu, and if Proof Colors is enabled, choose Proof Colors to disable it. You can use this command to enable or disable the soft proof settings that you set up in the Customize Proof Condition dialog box. Choose Duplicate from the Image menu, and click OK to duplicate the image. Choose Window, Arrange, to Up Vertical, so you can compare the images as you work. You'll adjust the hue and saturation of the image to move all colors into gamut. Select 14working.psd, the original image, to make it active, and then select the Visit Paris layer in the Layers panel. Choose Color Range from the Select menu. In the Color Range dialog box, choose Out of Gamut from the Select menu, and then click OK. The areas that were marked as out of gamut earlier are now selected, so you can make changes that affect only those areas. Choose Extras from the View menu to hide the selection while you work with it. The selection border can be distracting. When you hide extras, you no longer see the selection, but it's still in effect. Click the Hue Saturation button in the Adjustments panel to create a Hue Saturation adjustment layer. Choose Adjustments from the Window menu if the panel isn't open. The Hue Saturation adjustment layer includes a layer mask created from your selection. In the Properties panel, do the following. Leave the hue setting at the default value. Drag the saturation slider to reduce the value. I'll use -14. Reducing saturation is one way to bring colors into a target gamut. Drag the lightness to the left to darken the image. I'll use -2. Choose Gamut Warning from the View menu. You've shifted most of the out-of-gamut colors so that they're in the target gamut. Choose Gamut Warning from the View menu again to deselect it. Choose Extras from the View menu to enable it so that selection marquees and other non-printing aids will be visible again. In this case, the selection marquee doesn't reappear into the layer mask for the hue saturation layer in an earlier step. Close the duplicate image file, the 14 Working Copy tab, without saving it. Click the Channels tab to bring the Channels panel to the front. The image is currently in RGB mode, so there are 3 channels listed: red, green, and blue. The RGB channel is not actually a channel, but a composite of all 3. You also see a channel named Hue Saturation 1 Mask. This channel contains the mask information for the layer currently selected in the Layers panel. Choose Image, Mode, CMYK Color. Click Merge in the message that warns you that you might lose some adjustment layers. Merging the layers helps preserve the appearance of colors. Another message appears saying, "You're about to convert to CMYK using the US web-coded SWAP version 2 profile. This may not be what you intend. To choose a different profile, use Edit Convert to Profile." This message lets you know that the active CMYK profile is US web-coded SWAP version 2, the Photoshop default profile for CMYK color. That profile might not represent the actual prepress specification or proofing standard that will be used. In a real-world job, you would ask the print service provider which CMYK profile to use for color conversions. They may be able to provide a custom profile that accurately represents the tonal and color range of their equipment. You would then load that custom CMYK profile into your operating system's standard location for ICC profiles so that you can select it as the CMYK working space when you choose color settings from the edit menu, or so you can select it when converting the image to CMYK using the more advanced and precise Convert to Profile command in the edit menu. Click OK in the message about the color profile used in the conversion. The Channels panel now displays 4 channels: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Additionally, it lists the CMYK composite. The layers were merged during conversion, so there is only one layer in the Layers panel. Choose Save a Copy from the File menu. In the Save As dialog box, navigate to the Lesson 14 folder, name the file 14print.pdf, choose Photoshop PDF from the Format menu, and then click Save. Click OK if a message appears about Save Adobe PDF settings. In the Save Adobe PDF dialog box, choose PDFX4 2008 from the Adobe PDF preset menu. How do you know which preset to choose? Ask your print service provider which preset best matches their printing workflow. The 5 panels along the left side of the bottom of the Save Adobe PDF dialog box, General, Compression, etc., contain a large number of PDF options. Fortunately, if you know or have been told which Adobe PDF preset to choose, you don't have to think about any of those options, because choosing a preset sets those options for you. Click Save PDF. Photoshop saves the PDF version in the Lesson 14 folder. In the 14 working .psd image, choose Print from the File menu. By default, Photoshop prints any document as a composite image. To print this file as separations, you must set it up accordingly in the Photoshop Print Settings dialog box. In the Photoshop Print Settings dialog box, do the following. In the Printer Setup section, make sure the selected printer is correct. In the Color Management area, choose Separations from the Color Handling menu. In the Position and Size section, verify the settings. This 1117 document may be too large for many desktop printers to print at actual size. You can select Scale to Fit Media to fit the document to the current paper size. To see this option, you may need to scroll down or enlarge the dialog box. If you're using a printer equipped with Adobe PostScript, scroll down and set PostScript options such as halftone options. Note that the results on a desktop printer may not be identical to a prepress output device. Click Print. If you don't actually want to print color separations, click Cancel or Done. The difference is that Done saves the current print settings. Open the 14start.psd file in Photoshop if it isn't already open. Click OK if the Embedded Profile Mismatch dialog box appears. As the original RGB version of the image in this chapter, 14start.psd contains a wider color gamut than the later version that was converted to CMYK for prepress. Choose File, Export, Export As to prepare the image for display on a website. It's a large print resolution image, so it may take a while to display in the Export As dialog box. Choose JPEG from the Format menu and set the quality to 6. In the Image Size section, enter a height in pixels to proportionally resize the exported image. I'll enter 1000 pixels, enough to show the image with a good amount of detail on many displays. In the Color Space section, select Convert to sRGB and Embed Color Profile to help ensure consistent color in web browsers. Click Export. Navigate to the Lesson 14 folder and click Export or Save. Now you can start making your website. The portfolio user interface you see may vary as Adobe updates the service. Some of the following steps may appear only when creating a portfolio website for the first time. In a web browser, go to myportfolio.com, the web address for Adobe Portfolio. At the top of the Adobe Portfolio homepage, click Sign In, enter your Adobe ID, email address, and password, and click Sign In. On the next screen, click to select the type of site you want to create, Full Portfolio or Welcome Page. I'll click Welcome Page to make a quick one-page website and scroll down to pick the Cover Left Light theme. After the site is created, click the Click to Upload an Image or Video button, navigate to the Lesson 14 folder, select 14start.jpg, and then click Choose, Open or Upload. The button name depends on the web browser you use. Adobe Portfolio processes the image and replaces the left side placeholder with it. Now edit the text on the splash page. On the right side of the page, double-click on any text object to edit its text. You can add a brief description of you and your work. Click Preview. The buttons at the bottom of the preview show you how the page will look on different device displays and orientations, such as a smartphone held vertically or horizontally. Click Back to edit. As you move the pointer over different page elements, icons appear over them. If you see an Edit icon, a blue rectangle with a pencil, click it to edit that object. If you see an Add icon, a circle containing a plus sign, click it to add new content to a page, such as photos, video, or embedded media. Position the pointer over the button labeled Edit this button. Click the Edit icon that appears on the left side of its containing object, and in the menu that appears, click Edit Button. In the Options tab that appears on the left, you can change options such as the button text or the button font, and you can add a link. Other tabs offer options for other button states, such as how it looks when you hover the pointer over it. To exit, click the Back button at the top left corner of the Edit Button panel. If you want, edit other sections, such as the social media icons. Use the options along the left side of the portfolio editor to add or organize pages, customize the design, including the theme, fonts, and page backgrounds, or set options for the entire website, such as password protection. You can also create and manage multiple websites. If your site looks good and you want the world to see it, click Publish Site. It's live. Start photo.